We've been talking about the westward expansion, right? This week, I want you guys to tell me, do you know how people traveled during the westward expansion? Horses and boats. Trains. What are some other ways that people traveled? Did they travel in like these wagons? They traveled in wagons too, right? Okay. Can you guys tell me what are some of the dangers of traveling? Yeah.
Rocky Mountains. And the rivers on the horses can't go if it's deep and it could kill you and drown you. And
Exactly.
you could lose an axle on the Rocky Mountains.
Yeah. What are
Probably vicious animals or types of animals. 'Cause
Yeah.
They could eat up all your food and you could starve, or they could just kill you.
Yeah, very true. Anyone on this list think of any dangers of traveling?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Indians.
Indians?
Other settlers.
Yeah, and if you just had your horse in you, how would you protect yourself? You wouldn't, so it was very
You could put a
dangerous.
gun next to on the horse.
Well, you could, yeah, but in the middle of the night, or if your horse got hurt, you couldn't do anything. So it was very dangerous. Can you guys think of some ways that you think would be better for traveling? Trains, yes. Any other
Don't
ways?
travel.
Don't travel. Well, roads, bridges, yes. Cars. Well, if they had cars back then, it'd be nice to travel with cars. Today we're going to talk about something that was built to make it more safe, and that's trains. The first transcontinental railroad was built in the 1860s, and it had two separate parts. Does anyone know what the two parts were?
The Union Pacific.
Yes. Central Pacific. Good job. We had the two separate parts. The Central Pacific, does anyone know where it started? California. It started in California. And there was a group of 4 people, and they called themselves the Big Four. And they were 4 different men, and they wanted to build the railroad. But they were missing a couple things. They were missing 2 things. Can you think of anything that maybe they were missing? Well, iron, yeah, so they were missing the supplies. So what do they need to get supplies though? So to buy those supplies, what do you need to buy? Yes, they needed money. And can you think of something else that they might need to put their supplies down on? They would need like outside, they would need land to build their railroad on, right? So they were missing money and they were missing land. So they went to the government and they were like, can you give us some land and some money? And so in 1862, the Pacific Railroad Act was put in place, and this gave the Big Four money and land to build their train on. So they decided to build their train, and their train went from California, so California over here, right? Well, it went from California and then it went through the Sierra Nevadas to Utah, is where the Central Pacific went. So it started in California, up through the Sierra Nevadas, and stopped in Utah. To get through the Sierra Nevadas, what do you think they had to do? Do you think they went up over the mountain in their train?
Oh, to go up the mountains with dynamite.
Yeah, actually, that's exactly what they did. They had to do some tunneling. So they had to basically make a big hole so that their train could go through it, which provided for more safety for them. So that's the first part of the railroad. The second part was called the Yes, this part went from Utah all the way to Nebraska. So it was 2 separate trains. So the Central started in California, went to Utah, and then the Union Pacific met them in Utah and took them to Nebraska. So do you see where the red line is on here? The red line is the Central. Can you tell me what would be some good reasons to have a train? Yeah, it was a lot safer. We talked about how it was already really dangerous, so people could just get in their train and go. What are some faster? Yes. Did you know let's pretend you were going to take a little westward expansion and you wanted to take a little travel, and you left, let's say you left today, it could take you 6 weeks to get to California if you took your horse or your wagon. That's a long time. And if you had little kids or someone got sick, it could take you upwards of 12 weeks. That's a long time to travel. Has anyone had to travel for 12 weeks? No, we don't. Anything's a lot faster. So the train, they could get from Nebraska to California in just a week. That's not bad. We can drive from here to California in about a week. So that's not bad. The railroad really helped that. Can you think of some other things?
So wait. What about two things? There's a less chance of you not dying
Yeah.
because of animals and stuff. And there's a better chance for you that you wouldn't be robbed and you'd still have your tools.
Exactly. Yeah.
That saves lives of the bridges.
Yeah, you could. You could pack up your whole life and throw it in the back there. Safer, it was quicker. And the other thing that it did is it brought the continent almost smaller. If you look at it, without the train, the U.S. looks huge, right? And if you lived here in Nebraska and you thought about California, that was like way out there, right? But the train helped everything to seem kind of close. Talk about some bad things. What are some negatives to trains? Yeah. Logan told us that some of the bridges might not have been good, so there was some danger in that. Yes. Yeah, it could break down. That's true. The train could break down.
If you like stop in the middle of the road.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, that would be very scary. That was a very popular thing. Can you think of any dangers? You want to add to anyone? No? Yeah, what were some dangers of traveling in a train? Okay, so that could be a danger. A danger could be that you crash. Blow up. Well, yeah, they could. I guess they could have blown up the bridge if they wanted to. Now, I told you guys about the Pacific Railroad Act. Do you remember that? So, well, yeah. But the government gave money and land, right? Now, the money that they gave, do you think no one was living on that money? No one was living on that land? Do you think it was empty land? Or do you think people... That's right. Indians were living on that land. So what did they do to the Indians?
They made the Buffalo River.
Many sources.
They did, and which forced the Indians to
Move.
So do you think that was a very good thing for the Indians?
No, then the government told them to eat grass.
I think they started a massacre.
Yeah, it was a bad thing. The Indians did not want to.
Then they killed the government and they stuck his mouth in the grass.
Oh, really? Well, it was not a good thing for the Indians to have to be moved. So do you think that the Indians really liked the government because of this? Do you think that they trusted the government because of this? No, they didn't. So this caused a lot of people to not like the government, not to trust the government because of them. Because if the government could come in and move the Indians out, what was keeping the government from moving you out of your home? It didn't have people trust the government. So that was a negative side of having the railroad. So who can tell me, by pointing on the map, where's the Central Pacific Railroad? Tell me? No, let Ishmael tell me. Where's it from? Do you know where it started in? California over here. And then it went Central Pacific. Where did it start at? In what state? Good job. And you guys know where it started? California, and it went to Utah. Now the Union Pacific started where? Nebraska. It's Nebraska. Good job. We're gonna take a little quiz. So write your name on your paper. Question number 1. What were the 2 different railroads? Question number 2. Name one place that the railroad went through or connected at. Question number 3. Name one benefit of a railroad. Number 4. Tell me one bad thing of having a railroad. Next question is going to be, what were the 2 things that the government gave? Last question, I want you to write one thing that you remember learning. In your guys' life, there's going to be a lot of change sometimes, but that doesn't mean that the change is bad. Sometimes change can be good.